What's up, y'all? Frank here, doing a review of Justin Phillips' last e-commerce course. Wanted to share my thoughts as someone who's gone through his program, let you know how it works, and my thoughts and experiences with it. So, hopefully, if you're looking for a course to learn about e-commerce and to grow your business from someone who, on the internet, seems to be a successful entrepreneur, why you probably shouldn't take this course and probably better off saving your $7,000 and investing it in another part of your business. Trust me, I'm not the only person that had a negative experience with this, and I definitely didn't want to make a video about this, but I felt on my conscience I needed to let other entrepreneurs know the real of what it is, how these things work, and maybe a few things that maybe I missed in evaluating this type of program that might help you if you're evaluating other programs in the future. In terms of my background, I've done wholesale merchandise before. So I came in to this program with pretty low expectations. I tried to not have too much ego going into the program. And I really just wanted to see if I could learn and grow in my e-commerce experience and maybe get a few tips and tricks along the way. So we're going to go through his website and basically give you a background of who Justin Phillips is, at least from my perspective. I first heard about his brand in 2020, and 2020 was a year of a lot of things going on, but racial strife and kind of the idea of supporting historically black colleges and universities was something that was blowing up. And so this was a press piece that they got about their apparel. Very nice. You know, this is something that's hard to, who's gonna be against supporting black colleges, right? Especially in 2020. So what they were able to do was get a bunch of celebrities, especially the NBA. I think I saw this because it was featured during All-Star Weekend 2021. And so a lot of people saw a lot of their content from that time period, and I think they started making a lot of sales. And this is March 2021. Now, I didn't do a lot of research into the history of this brand because I'd seen it before. I saw the brand, and then I saw the person selling a course later on. And it was billed as more of a community. So I said to myself, I didn't do the research because most of the time when you see people selling courses and things, there are people you've never heard of, brands you've never heard of. And this was one that I definitely knew about. And so I think that was one little piece of why I ended up deciding to do the program. And about exactly a year later, they're getting negative press about their ability to actually deliver product. So this article, which I think they are interviewed for, goes through their problems actually shipping product to people. Now, as somebody has done e-commerce before and has shipped a lot of product to a lot of people, there's so many things that can go wrong in your supply chain. It could be getting the blanks. It could be printing that's messed up. It could be suppliers that, think somebody else is more important and bump your order. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So for me, I take this with a grain of salt. I don't know exactly why they weren't able to deliver to people. And that's not really why I featured this part. They're saying people didn't have product and didn't get a refund, which probably is a red flag if I would have read this before. But I didn't, which is my fault. So they said COVID-19 slowdowns in overseas shipping gave them a bunch of problems. But the real problem here, and the major red flag that you should flag anytime you are looking at working with somebody like this, is this sentence right here. Despite their ages, both have already written books about their entrepreneurial success. Arvinger, who is I think the co-founder, sells his 29 laws to a 7-figure e-commerce business for $49.99.
Are you kidding me?
At the same time, they're not able to deliver product. They're selling, both of them are writing books and selling courses on how to do what they're doing. Now, generally, that is a red flag that if you're so good at e-commerce and being an entrepreneur, you would just create other businesses. You would have 10 brands. You would be partnering with people and showing other folks, hey, we've not just done this once with Support Black Colleges, but we've done this like 3, 4, 5 times. So again, this is an indictment of myself not doing enough research into the backgrounds of these folks and what they're actually doing. I just saw that the product seemed to be doing well, at least was in my face. But you also have to realize anything on the internet is marketing, it's fake. Whether there's success or not is something you really have to understand on a deeper level. Just because a company gets acquired doesn't mean everybody's making money, that everybody's happy about it. Just because you're seeing celebrities wearing a certain brand doesn't mean they know what they're doing in terms of making things happen. Just because you see somebody have $1 billion business doesn't mean, they actually built it from scratch and didn't have, millionaire friends that were the reason why it succeeded. So for me, I like to get to the truth and the bare metal of what makes things function and what makes businesses grow. That's kind of my obsession, is understanding and learning those things. So I'm always going to have a curiosity for that. But if you don't have that curiosity, there's these little things that you should probably look out for. So that was kind of the trajectory of the company. This is the company now, Support Black Colleges. If you go to supportblackcolleges.org, strangely, the website has issues with their Shopify.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if they sold it to somebody else and somebody else has screwed it up, but just put a pin in this. They don't have a Shopify site up, so they're linking to their supplier. So I don't know what's going on there. I'll show you who Justin Phillips is, right? Almost 1 million followers. He's a man of God. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Helping you start, scale your ecom biz. And his main content is stuff like this. I think he tried different content formats and figured out that doing this like wagging finger really works. And then he shares some pretty good content. He shows you maybe a couple tools or how you could use it, free tools or ways you can leverage certain suppliers or lists of under suppliers and folks that might be useful for different parts of your business. And a lot of times he shows the suppliers for a certain brand, right? So for Supreme, these are the people that work with Supreme. And because of the import manifests, a lot of the information about who they're working with is public. It's just not really well surfaced information. So he's found a way to surface it, which makes sense. And it's helpful to at least show people that you have some knowledge that they probably don't have. They probably don't have the patience to go and figure out who these suppliers are. And so that's part of his like content funnel. And here he is with his mom. Isn't that beautiful? Got her a nice Porsche. Isn't that beautiful? My mom's not alive, but I wish I could buy my mom a car. It's very nice. And I said to myself, when I was looking at this, I was thinking to myself, he's like, can't pull up to the new crib with an old whip. You deserve it, mama. I love you. Clap it up. Clap it up for Justin Phillips buying his mom a car. That is so sweet, And he bought his mom a house. Damn. Man is doing it. Check it out. And she got the, what does that say? Run me my money. Run me my money? I'm with it. I need to buy that hoodie. If they're selling that hoodie, I will buy that one. I'll buy that from Support Black Colleges. Oh man, it's amazing. But I look at this stuff and I think about it. I'm like, how much is this car? And I think to myself, Justin Phillips didn't buy his mom a car. I bought Justin Phillips' mom a car. I made like at least 3 or 4 payments on this car with the money I gave him. At least. You know? Depends on, I don't know what kind of deal he got. But I definitely paid for this car. I don't know why I didn't get a shout out. I don't get an at mention, nothing. But fine. I don't care about that. I don't want that. I don't want the credit. It's fine. I just, like his mom says, I just want my money back. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But this is who Justin Phillips is. If you want to follow him, go ahead. There's definitely some info in here if you're looking for suppliers that might be interesting. Getting the right supplier is pretty easy. The hard part of e-commerce, to me at least, is getting attention and having a brand that means something, that stands out, because there's a million brands at this point. This is, I think, his book. I tried to open at least the .com for, this is what his emails all go through up until like a month ago. And this page is 404ing.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
I don't know what's going on. But again, another page at 404s. I don't know if they have they're switching over to something. I mean, I'm trying to shoot him some bail. I don't know what's going on. They might just link to the Kajabi now instead of using the actual .com, but it's very strange that you can't actually just go to the website that your emails are coming from. That's just a strange red flag for me. But the course is an online course, so it's a combination of kind of some of the stuff probably from this section. So there's an ebook, there's videos to watch, but the main part of it and the reason why I joined was the promise of mentorship and community. So there's other e-commerce founders who are working on different brands. You get to meet them, collaborate with them. And the way it worked was there's a Slack group. There's a checklist in the Slack group of things to go through, the process. The process was kind of basic. They use ChatGPT for some stuff, which I guess it can work. But for brands, I think specifically for brands, I think it's leaning on the creativity of LLMs, which I don't think is... LLMs are not in a place where it's not going to give you the perfect creative. Like creative work in terms of ideation still needs a human component to it, because the LLM is basically just using what they've read and seen in the past and predicting based off of that. But what's truly innovative, stuff that makes a difference, I don't think it's going to come out from that. So it's a little strange to me that was a lot of their focus. I thought I would just talk to them about my brand. But that's basically how it's set up. You have calls during the week, and for a lot of the calls, I guess they had a bunch of different types of calls, but they basically just dumped us into this Slack group, and a lot of issues with it. But you had a kickoff call with Justin, so I talked to him for maybe half an hour. He introduced the program, which was nice, at least to connect with them to start. He kind of explained how things work, which was helpful. And then, you dumped into the Slack group. There's a lot of things that's wrong with how they run the program, just structurally. There is no real community management. So you get dumped into a Slack group. They don't tell you who these other people are. Nobody introduces you. So you're kind of just hanging out in this lobby Slack group with a bunch of people you don't know anything about. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're working on specifically. There's also a bunch of mentors and people who are running some of these calls who they also never introduced. So I don't actually know who they are. I couldn't even find them online if I really wanted to. So that was another weird thing. I don't know if they've done programs like this before, but they weren't actually doing the community management stuff that would have made it easier on themselves, to be honest. Like, you put people who are like-minded in a group, they can support each other and you don't have to do anything. So I don't know why they didn't put much effort into the community management part, but that was the first thing. I saw that and I said to myself, that's probably not going to work. But anyway, they have these phone calls. So I start getting on the phone calls, and it's like a 3-month program. I get on some of the phone calls, and essentially it's just a Q&A free-for-all format, which was pretty silly because people supposedly were vetted before they came into the program. I think the only real vetting was like, are you going to pay this money or not? Because, and listen, people start at all different levels of experience, and I'm all for people getting into entrepreneurship and starting out. I've done tons of startup weekend workshops and helped a lot of folks transition into entrepreneurship, so I know that very well. And I'm very sensitive to helping people who are just starting out. But if I'm paying $7,000 for a course and a community and mentorship, and I get on a phone call and it's just a random person saying, how do I make a website? And we're like explaining the internet to this person, like who designers are, or who, like, what Shopify is. These are things that people are not on the same level. And so sitting there for half an hour listening to someone talk about something like as basic as that wasn't going to be helpful to me, and it certainly is not helpful to people who at least already started or have their Shopify set up or have had any kind of experience using the internet before. Like, I don't know who some of these people are. I feel bad for some of them because I didn't connect to them, and I know they didn't get much out of that experience. But yeah, that was another piece that was a little bit frustrating. So even getting on the calls, occasionally some of the calls had people going through similar experiences and they shared what they had going on. Seemed like some people had a closer connection to Justin and the team than others. It seemed like some had like a personal connection already. So that kind of colored some of the experience, but there were occasionally calls that had little bits of like useful information. What happened with the calls is that halfway through the program, they realized it wasn't working and they changed the format of it. So they changed the whole system so that it would be based on stage that you're at. And I think that's because all of us probably were complaining and saying this is not really that useful. And they said to us, we're building the plane as we're flying it, those type of things.
Well, allow me to retort.
Well, if you're still building the plane as things are going on and it's not working, wouldn't you want to continue working with those people or refund those people and try to make those people into ambassadors? Wouldn't that make sense? But that's not really their approach, right? So the next thing that happened that kind of soured me on the program is how they put religion into this program, and it's not really spoken about. Obviously, if you go to this page again, first thing it says is man of God. Cool. That's a bold thing to put as your first line, right? And I was on one call that was kind of explicitly a religious call. So it was somebody talking about Jesus and Christianity and how to leverage Christianity to find your purpose or something like that. And I grew up in the church. I think the church does a lot of great things. My views on religion are very nuanced, and I don't have time to even go through all of it, but I wouldn't call myself a practicing Christian at this point in my life. I like to take from a lot of religions and learn different things about how to be a better person. But I thought it was really distasteful to have a call, especially when there's Muslims and Jews and other folks on the call who do not subscribe to this ideology at all. It's very strange. And it was another one of those things where I'm just kind of rolling my eyes at how they're putting this together. It seems like it's just a seat of their pants. They're just trying to see what can work here and there. And I could understand that if you're early in the game and you're not taking, you're taking thousands of dollars from people, and then you're posting online about how you're taking those thousands of dollars and buying fancy cars for your mom. It's going to rub people the wrong way if you don't have all these things handled properly. The next part that was kind of frustrating to me was there was actually very little communication. They have these personal Slack groups, and there are times I would ask a question or something, and it would take 4 or 5 days to get a response. A lot of times I got responses that were not really that helpful. They did some design work, which I ended up just accepting, but I wasn't really impressed with the design work. It seemed like they just have some cheaper designer go through a normal e-commerce template. It's something I could have probably built on my own. But they never really talked to me about what my brand was about. They didn't have a call to kind of solidify the brand vision part of e-commerce, which I think is probably the most important. I think even for support back colleges, that's really the key that got people to respond to it, is the fact that it was framed in this like positive, supportive way, right? And I didn't really get that part of their expertise or knowledge. And I'm not saying there's no expertise or information that these folks have. I just didn't receive much of it. So it was very little communication. A great example of that is on the final wrap-up call that I had with somebody on the team. They asked me what my brand was. Now, her point is that she just wants to hear me describe the brand. But to me, it said, you don't even really know what my brand is. I've gone through this whole program. You don't really know who I am. You don't know what my brand is about. You're not really invested in any kind of way to make me succeed. You just want me to pay you money, to upsell me on some other thing. And trust me, as I said before, my experience is not a unique experience. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. There's a lot of people that have had this experience. So I'm not unique in that. But those are kind of the main things that happened as I went through, this program. And, if you're an e-commerce entrepreneur, you're working on things, there's enough information on YouTube for you to get started, to try things, experiment, put stuff out. If you have a brand and you want some feedback, I'm happy to give feedback for free. I'm not selling anything. You can just at me on Instagram at Frank Denbo. I don't think you should be spending $7,000 on a course that's still trying to figure out what their identity is and how they can actually provide value to people. So my suggestion is to just get started, spend that money on some good design, get some samples done. You're going to need to invest in some of that stuff anyway. Get a good photo shoot done. Those are better uses of your money than putting into this type of program. The last thing that I'll talk about that was the main reason why I even joined this program in the first place was the guarantee and the things they said to kind of entice me to start the program, right? So to start, they said, hey, we're going to work with you through this, this time period, this few months. Our goal is to get you to the amount in revenue that you invested in the program, right? And the guarantee was they'll continue working with you even after the 3 months is up, until you hit that number. They'll still work with you. So I said, okay, if I'm in a community with folks like Justin, who's had some success, has some knowledge to share, I said I could work with that. I think, I don't expect overnight success, but hey, if it takes 6 months, 8 months to get to a place where we're building something good, then I could do that. On my last call, that offer was changed to now, hey, you can pay monthly to stay in this e-commerce group.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
Which is not what they said in the beginning, right? So they will probably try to hide behind contracts, or there are things that were definitely said in a lot of different scenarios about that component of the guarantee. Unfortunately, they're not. I mean, he says he's a man of God, right? He's a man of God. But unfortunately, that promise was not fulfilled. So that's what you get. And I do want to shout out another organization, BM Digital. They have a similar program. I'm not sure if they're even getting people in it in the same way, but it's a similar thing. 3 months, you have somebody that works with you. It was an incredible experience. I went through this program. They're still helping me, even though technically the program is over for me. But just the way that they ran things was completely different. There was an emphasis on kind of understanding where my company was, what the vision was, who the competitors in the space were, how we compare with them on different elements of our branding, of our paid ads to social strategy, all those things. And I had consistent meetings with them. They presented a lot of information to me. They went above the time that they were even promising most of the time. And I had a dedicated person who had worked in my field, built other e-commerce companies, and is essentially, an e-commerce consultant. So I was impressed with these folks. So if you are in the market for a program, you can check this out. It works pretty. It was a pretty solid experience. I would definitely recommend it. I feel like I got my money's worth working with them. But to be honest, a lot of you just need to get started. And these folks, they've worked with some great brands. I think they were responsible for all those Raycon ads you saw everywhere for a while. So definitely check them out. And yeah, I think that's mostly it. Really sucks to have to make this. I don't really like putting out negative content, but hopefully if a few of you were thinking about joining the program, this gives you kind of the kick in the pants to just try it on your own. There's a lot of folks on the internet, they're trying to sell you something where they don't really know what they're doing. There's a difference between, repeatedly having a system and understanding and knowledge that has succeeded, and just like capturing lightning in a bottle, and it's hard to tell which is which. This is a little bit of lightning in a bottle. There's some information there, but they really haven't had that much experience in building not only the e-commerce companies, but also an education system that produces consistent results. So, sorry, I don't know. It's not what you think it is. Yeah, I'm probably never getting my money back from these folks. But hey, at least I bought his mom a Porsche. Congrats to me. I should at least get to drive it like one weekend or something, Damn. I can't sleep over in the crib that I paid for. It's hard out here, guys.